Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my tremendous honor to be here to speak. Of course, I'd like to echo the previous speakers, their appreciation to the host and the organizer of such a very interesting and important event. I also like to thank the India Foundation for their kind invitation. I particularly like to also thank the host, Sri Lanka, for their hospitality. And what I'm going to do, first of all, I'd like to make it very clear. What I'm saying here is strictly personal view. I do not represent the government of China or the affiliation, China Institute of International Studies. So it's my personal view. I'm going to develop my presentation into three parts. Try to answer three questions. The first one, what role China can play in Indian Ocean? The second, what is China's policy towards Indian Ocean? The third one, what kind of challenges we need to overcome in the future? Let me start by begin with a story about my first part. Well, right here in Sri Lanka, over 6 centuries ago, there was a story, actually early 1950th century, a huge fleet of ships set from Nanjing, China. The voyage was led by a Chinese admiral named Zongze, the most important Chinese adventurers of all time, and one of the greatest sailors in the world ever known. The admiral may have set foot on Lanka soil at least close 6 or 7 times before he made his major voyage to the Sri Lanka, which had been a central port in the Indian Ocean. Zhonghe's travel took him as far as to Africa. There is an inscription in the Colombo Museum. What unique is this inscription was simply known as the trilingual stone inscription, which includes Chinese, Persian, and Tamil. The slab was inscribed in China and gifted to Sri Lanka in 1409. This story actually tells us China has been tied with the Indian Ocean by history, by culture, by religions, of course, by trade and economic interactions. And geographically speaking, China has 14 land labors. Nearly half of them are South Asia countries, including India, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal, and Afghanistan. And we share over 4,000 kilometers common border with each other. Economically, China has been the major trade and investors of the countries in Indian Ocean. Such kind of economic and trade relationship will go from strength to strength. By the way, today China is the #1 trading partners of over 130 countries around the globe. Then the next is Indian Ocean, the same line of communication is a vital interest of China, particularly to ensure its energy security. Now China is the #2 oil consumer and the #1 oil importer. More than 70% of China's oil import comes from the Gulf states and also Africa. Furthermore, China also expanded its levee patrol off the coast of Somalia to fight against piracy in implementing the resolution of the United Nations. So that's why the Djibouti support base is so important to China. So from this part, we have said China is a nation of Indian Ocean. China is also a South Asia nation. Number two, what is China's policy towards Indian Ocean? Well, basically, this is exactly the same of the Chinese foreign policy, that China committed to peaceful development. So this is also the policy towards the Indian Ocean. China like to forge closer partnership with countries all over the world. I don't think there is any fundamental interest between China and the Indian Ocean countries, and the mutual beneficial should be the only option. What China was going to do, I think I will identify three measures. First of all, to be partners to all. Most of the countries in Indian Ocean, they are developing countries and the middle income country. So for a long time in the future, development is a key and paramount important. So China would like to provide whatever assistance and opportunities with the countries in the region, particularly to address the poverty reduction and to implement the SDG Sustainable Development Goal and to address the climate change issues. Second, China like to boost the connectivities in the region. The connectivity, I have to mention about the Belt and Road Initiative China has been initiated over 4 years ago. Early this year, China has staged a Belt and Road Initiative Forum for International Cooperation. 29 foreign heads of state and over 80 international organizations and the representatives of 130 countries has been attended the event. At the outcome, 270 projects has been formulated. That means the Belt and Road Initiative, though it's China proposed initiative, has already become an international action and consensus. This Belt and Road Initiative has well executed. It's not just an idea. It is a public good provides to all. The principle is achieving sharing growth through collaboration. The third, China also like to strengthen the people-to-people contacts in the region and to build up the social basis for further and more sustainable development in the future. That brings me the third part of my presentation. What are the challenges we should overcome? Shall we move forward? I think there are numerous challenges has been mentioned by previous speaker yesterday and throughout today. However, I'd like to just identify two of them. The first one, we need to keep alert on how to deal with the global governance deficit. Now, the anti-globalization, protectionism, populism are in rising, which creates lots of problems. And please allow me to recall, over 20 years ago, when the demise of the Soviet Union and the collapse of the Cold War, some people in the West, they were celebrating the so-called end of the history. However, 20 years now, the same people in the West, they were very much concerned and worried about this world is moving towards a post-West, post-order world. Make no mistake, the rise of the developing countries, the rise of the rest is reshaping the international order. And they are not the challenge, however. They actually make the international order more balanced, more accountable. One example is when back in 2008, the financial crisis happened in the Wall Street of the United States. Why they don't use the G7 to rescue the financial tsunami? Rather, they count on the G20 to rescue the financial disaster. Because in G20, there are a bunch of developing economies like China, India, and others. The second challenge I will identify is we should overcome the Cold War zero-sum mentality. Of course, Indian Ocean is not immune from Cold War zero-sum mentality. It is my belief Indian Ocean must not become a battleground for new Cold War. Otherwise, no one will be a winner. Instead, as some speakers has already been mentioned about Indian Ocean countries, they like to build an Indian Ocean community. To build such a community, Indian Ocean should remain open, inclusive, peaceful, and prosperous for all. To conclude, I'd like to share one of my favorite anecdotes with you. A mayor in China escorted a foreign visitor to visit a museum. And the guy, stopped the delegation at a very precious stoneware in the museum and said, "Look, this stoneware is 4,000 years old." However, the mayor said, "No, you're wrong. It is not 4,000 years old, but it must be 4,001 years old." Everybody was surprised. The mayor said, "Because last year I was here, you told me this stone was 4,000 years old." That means we need to keep up with the pace of the time. So to conclude, let me repeat the three argument observations I ever made. Number one, China is an Indian Ocean country. Number two, China's policy towards the Indian Ocean is peaceful development. Third, Indian Ocean should not be an arena for any new Cold War. Thank you very much.